Friday, the final day of the week. These are the voyages of the program Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Its ongoing mission to explore strange new movies, to seek out new bits and new edification, to boldly go where no radio program has gone before. Oh, Elkent's Movie Club. It's Elkent's Movie Club. Elkent's Movie Club. It's Elkent's Movie Club.
That theme comes from Star Trek.
It does.
Yes.
Star Trek.
Star Trek.
Star Trek. Hi, Kent.
Hello. I heard you
How are
making
you?
reference to clowns. I'm here.
Ah, got him.
There was your
That
laugh.
was the laugh.
That was the laugh. It was there. Kent, how was your week?
Actually pretty good, shockingly. But nothing too exciting.
Well, that's probably good. That's probably good because there's more excitement to come. You know, the excitement of spring football is right around the spring game, and I know how much you're thrilled about
Oh.
Oh yeah. If I can avoid being anywhere near that place, I will be.
Well, this week in the movie club, we are going to Netflix for the 2022 film Mending the Line. This is a drama that stars Brian Cox.
Yeah.
You know him from Succession on HBO and as the voice of McDonald's.
Yes. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
McDonald's commercials. Sinqua Walls, Perry Matfield, and Patricia Heaton, formerly of Everyone Loves Raymond, in this film. It is about war veterans who are dealing with post-traumatic stress syndrome. And in the case of this particular film, Walls, the character played by Walls, John Coulter, is an Afghanistan vet who has a traumatic episode. He loses his friends, and now he is being sent to different VA hospitals for analysis. He wants to be a Marine lifer. He wants to be.
When can I get back in?
I want to get back into the Marines, and he keeps failing these exams, these mental evaluations, and he comes across an old Vietnam veteran played by Brian Cox, who has taken up fly fishing. And at the suggestion of Patricia Heaton's character, who is the nurse at the VA hospital, she suggests maybe you should try fly fishing. So the idea is that Brian Cox is going to teach this Afghan war vet how to fly fish. There is also a woman in the film who has also had a traumatic episode in her life. She lost her fiance in a motorcycle accident. She plays the town librarian. And really, it's all of these people trying to cope with their various stages of traumatic loss, and fly fishing and the nature of Montana are kind of all at the center of this healing process. And that's essentially the movie.
I'd say that's a good recap, huh, Kent? He
That's
should
the
be a
movie.
film critic.
Well, yeah, it's a good recap. And in a sense, here's my take on it. Is this in a way is almost a TV disease of the week kind of movie, right? I mean, and it follows that formula. You're not going to make this movie and have the Coulter character kill himself at the end or something, right?
Right.
That's not going to happen. You know exactly what's going to happen from the time you get the setup of the movie, right? But it works, strangely enough, and doesn't feel as much, I don't want to say cliched or whatever, as the description would make it. And I think it's because this director who I've never heard of before, Joshua Caldwell or something like that.
Yes, Joshua Caldwell.
Completely leans into this and says, okay, if I'm going to do this, if we're going to do this, we're going to go and make this almost a more serious film, a more deeper film than the sort of the TV version would be. And we're going to make it look as good as we can possibly make it. And so then you put those nature scenes when they're out on the river, and it has this sort of almost reassuring visual presence, which is in keeping with the whole theme of the film of we're going to take these guys and we're going to use the fly fishing to heal them in a sense. And I thought it was a pretty good movie for a movie that was, when I first got into it, I'm like, oh no, it's like the week special coming here, but I thought it worked pretty well.
Yeah, Kent, what I found interesting was, so going to like the TV movie of the week type thing, like there were times where I thought it literally looked like a TV movie. And then there were other times, specifically the nature shots, where I thought it looked gorgeous. And then there was another part of me that's like, man, this is pretty cool that Brian Cox is in this because he brings a lot of weight to the role. And then I'd also have moments where I'm like, why the hell did Brian Cox agree to this movie? Because it just seems, I mean, obviously the answer is probably the paycheck. Maybe he wanted to do something different while he is filming Succession. But I just found all of those things made for an interesting watch that I'm with you. When I turned it on, I just was like, oh, this is going to be a movie that I don't think has any, no offense. I didn't think I was going to like it very much. But there was this push and pull of how it looked at times versus how it looked at others, and how it was acted at times and how it was acted at others.
Oh, I would agree with that, and I suspect the reason that Brian Cox did it is because that's a pretty interesting character that he got to play, right? And it's not the character that he always plays, whether it's in Succession or anything else. He's kind of for all of the guys' sort of isolationist quirks, right? And not wanting to do anything but fly fish. He's kind of the almost, I don't think hero's the right word, but you know what I'm saying? He's kind of the guy that makes all of this happen. And yet he's so distinctive with and I think that's probably why he took the role. And also, my guess is this is a short filming time kind of movie. They probably made this movie in a month, maybe. And so he could do that on the hiatus for Succession.
Yeah, it says, and there's not many notes on this, but the filming occurred in Montana in September 2021. It doesn't say when it ended, but I'm assuming it kind of implies that
it was filmed in 2021 September, and that was it.
That was it. They just needed a few days in September, and it's it's not like they had to go anywhere else, right? Yeah. I mean, there's a scene at the end where you see Seattle. And that factors into the end of the film, but otherwise, and then whatever scenes were shot at the beginning, because you do see the episode that sends the John Coulter character to the VA. You see a little bit of war scene, not much, but just a little bit from Afghanistan. But that could have been shot, just about anywhere, probably on a soundstage.
Montana. I do think the stuff that Josh was saying kind of looks like a TV movie of the week was soundstage stuff, right?
Yeah.
And not particularly well shot, or that's not the right term. Well differentiated from TV soundstage stuff, let's put it that way, where the stuff in Montana was obviously on location. And that cinematographer, those shots of the river were lovely. They were gorgeous. And that's
there's
great.
There's the scene when they go fly fishing together for the first time, where he shows him his favorite spot, and the camera just kind of pans back behind him
very slowly,
and you see this winding river and then the mountains in the background. I mean, it is very beautiful.
that's exactly the scene I was thinking of. That
Same.
is exactly it. The other thing that struck me as interesting, and this idea is not original to me, is that when he teaches him to fly fish, it's kind of like Mr. Miyagi in
Yes.
Karate Kid, teaching him everything but how to do what he's supposed to be there to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, how long before they finally go fly or go fishing together in the movie? It takes a while, and he has that one scene where essentially he's like testing him out, right? He's like, "What's this? What does this do? What does this do? What does this do? All right, you're ready. Let's go."
I would guess that didn't they I don't think they actually went fly fishing until like an hour into the movie. Would that be I think that'd be about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It ain't that long a movie.
No.
Meanwhile, the female character Lucy, played by Perry Matfield, she got to. I mean, it was like, hey, you want to go fly fishing? Yeah, she's out there.
Yeah.
You know, she didn't have to go through all the initiation process of all of this. And I think that's probably one of the reasons, Kent, I enjoyed it was that there's not really. I mean, I know there's a river runs through it. There's other fishing movies, but there's not a lot about fly fishing. You know, and
I know nothing about fly fishing.
I'll tell you this much. I almost wish I had the patience and the time. I would like to go fly fishing. It looks like fun.
Yeah, I was thinking that as they're going through like the early machinations, because I never liked fishing. I'm sure that I would like it if I did it now just because I'm older. But when I was a kid, I thought it was boring as hell. I was like, why do I want to go do that? And it's one of those hobbies that I don't really understand, but I can see why people would like it because there's so many things to learn, you know, whether it's studying all the various equipment that you can use. I mean, how many books does the character read throughout the movie, you know, about it? It's like running, John. Sometimes people have hobbies that you don't understand.
Or
it can be
disc
very
golf.
normal. Or disc golf. It's a thing, John. It's a thing.
Dying discs.
That too.
I would agree with you on fishing. No, too boring for me. And running, no, there's no running in golf. Okay.
I would say this, the side story, because the Lucy character, as we mentioned, her fiance dies in a motorcycle accident, and she is still in the same town, and she is still tending to the grieving mother. And I thought there was a little bit to that sidebar story and the deep grief, you know, constantly wanting to play videos of her, you know, her son playing football when he was in high school and these things. And she is stressing her out. I thought that was kind of an interesting, you know, sidebar to just the main story of these two guys, you know, trying to cope with their war-related PTSD through fly fishing. I guess that was part of what I enjoyed about this was that, you know, the different levels of grief and how people cope and how you never escape it. That was, I mean, even to the very end of the movie, you're never going to escape it. This isn't one of those where it's, oh, happily ever after, one day I'm cured and everything's fine. No, that's not how it works.
Yeah. Like along those lines, we just got a text from sales person Heather who says the significance of catch and release and the salmon. And yeah, I mean, that was, I would say, the most moving moment of the film, honestly, was the first time that they were fishing together and they caught the fish and he's like, yeah, now let it back. And it's like, you could just see kind of the emotions in the way that it hit the character for what was about to happen. And then, yeah, certainly the swimming upstream stuff towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
Nick?
To add to what John just said, and I hadn't thought of this until now, I think that aspect of the dealing with the mother and her also served another purpose. Okay. It showed that this kind of trauma, this PTSD, whatever you want to call it, isn't just related to a conflict, right? You don't have to have gone to war to have that.
Mm-hmm.
And it showed that through her and the relationship with the mom. And I had, until you said that, it hadn't, but I think that's part of why that works so well in the movie as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I'm glad that, because we don't find out right away why she's grieving. It's obvious, you can tell
Yeah, something's going on.
that something has happened, that she's lost somebody close to her, and that she's dealing with another person who's dealing with the same loss. And I was worried initially that it was another war-related thing. And it was like, okay, that's way too convenient that this person meets this person who meets this person. So I was glad that the accident wasn't military related. It's, to your point, Kent, that yeah, it doesn't have to be, something traumatic that happens in war for you to be affected in a very similar and deep way.
And that's, that may also, as soon as you, once again, when you said that, I thought that's one of the ways it sort of peels away from the cliche, right? Because the cliched movie of the week would be, here's this woman who husband got blown up in Afghanistan or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And they link because of that. And the other cliched thing that they didn't go with, that I'm glad that they didn't, it looked like they were trending towards those characters becoming romantic.
Yes.
And they did. She and I won't go any further than that, but that, because I was afraid that, because this is going to feel
it just
very
seemed
cliche,
like
that
yeah,
these two people in deep mourning are going to find each other and that's how they're going to heal. No, they go through, they're friendly. They certainly, help each other. And there's a great scene there towards the end where they're, talking through all of this and talking through what she's going to do. And they don't go through with that cliched part. It's completely different because everyone's got a different, destination, or, as Brian Cox's character, a recon that they have to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, I'm sorry we passed you by.
Oh, you're fine. I am glad that you did bring up that point, Kent, because that was my main takeaway of, there were many characters in this movie, but I think trauma is the main character of this movie, just because it showcases all the different types of trauma that people are going through, whether it's directly war related or it's related to the death of a loved one, or even the doctor who was, you saw her break a little bit after she left Brian Cox's room when he was laid up in the hospital. And obviously that little break right there told me all of the trauma she's experienced just by dealing with all of these veterans who either don't want to help themselves or are trying to help themselves and they just can't, or all of that. I thought that was very well done. And the longer I sit with this movie, the less I hate it. Hate's too strong of a word. I didn't like this movie that much. Hate is too strong of a word, but I kind of had a joke yesterday. This movie felt like it was either propaganda for fly fishing or Montana more than it was about healing from trauma or PTSD. Just because it did weirdly focus on those things a lot more than I thought it would. Like, obviously, I knew that the fly fishing was supposed to be a conduit, a way to help be a way to be therapeutic through the trauma, just something you can control and just relax. But the way it felt like the movie didn't have a focus, it tried to focus on a lot of things, and I felt like that drug it down a bit. It was beautifully shot, but then a lot of the acting didn't do a whole lot for me. The librarian, that actress, some of the way she delivered some of her lines, it reminded me a lot of how Kristen Stewart said a lot of her lines in the first Twilight movie. Just kind of mumbly and like just looking away, and then like the way she would inflect some of her words, it didn't feel like natural inflections. It felt like an adult Disney movie at times, just when they were all fly fishing together and having a fun time. I liked it, but I didn't love it. It was the
But
longer.
earlier you said you almost hated it, so you liked it?
I said hate was a strong word, but I also said the longer I sit with it, the less that I dislike it. But I'm never going to go back and watch this movie again. I did not.
I think pretty much everything you said there is also valid, right? I mean, there was a lot of scenic Montana,
Mhm.
and a
like
lot.
a bunch of people just wearing Montana hats. It felt very
Yeah.
come to Montana, which is fine. It's a beautiful place, but
But you
it
know,
felt weird.
I'll and also and that's why I'm talking. What you're getting at is why I'm talking. Why I'm saying it kind of has that TV disease of the week feel, because if you remember, if you watch any of those movies, there's always that everything's great and we're having all this fun doing whatever scene, right? Every one of them has that. No matter whether the person lives or dies in the end, there's still that scene or set of scenes somewhere in the middle of the movie, just like in this one. So, that pulls, in a sense, adds that cliche element that kind of pulls it down a little.
I did really like the idea of the movie. You know, I feel like we don't get a whole lot of movies of veterans coming back and having to deal with trauma and then finding hobbies and connecting with each other through these hobbies as a way to get your mind off of it, or even use your knowledge that you had learned in that previous life to help you with this life, like recon. Like he said, fishing. It's like doing recon.
And by the way, if you watch through to the credits, I mean, there's a, it's obvious, they consulted. There is a veterans group, a veterans fly fishing group that is designed to do exactly what the plot was in this movie. And they show pictures from actual veterans who, participate in this, in their fly fishing group. So, it's, I don't know the background. And you mentioned the director, Joshua Caldwell. Stephen Camella was the one who wrote it. I don't have any more information on him, but I'm guessing that maybe, somebody in this group probably is very familiar with this organization and kind of wanted to write maybe a bit of a love story to, this organization and what they do for veterans.
Or at least tipped the writer found something about this and then made his story out of it. Right. He didn't just pull this out of thin air. Right.
Correct.
And I was going to say exactly what you just said. This is sort of based on probably some kind of reality, because you see that in those final.
Yeah,
whatever.
Honestly, at the end, I thought it was going to be like, this is based on Blank's life, because it just seemed like it was, but it was, obviously just more of a
way too specific.
Yeah.
So Mending the Line on Netflix. You can go find it right now and enjoy. And
it's one of the more popular films on Netflix right now.
Yeah, that's why I saw it. I saw it in the top 10 list a couple of weeks ago, or last week when I chose it. And despite being accused of this, it's a dad film.
It is a dad movie.
Such a dad movie.
It's a dad.
John, it hits all the check boxes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
veterans.
Got war,
fishing.
It's got veterans, it's got fishing, it's got
Dads
Montana.
love war stuff.
Dads love Porky's, too. We haven't chosen that yet. When I choose Porky's eventually, you're going to call that a dad movie?
That's not a dad movie. That's a horny movie.
We're going to call it a Horty John movie.
Yeah, that's a teenage movie. Mike Schaefer became a dad, and he watched all of Band of Brothers. That's some dad content right there. By the way, Kent, before Nick picks next week's movie, Posty Posterson asks, what is L. Kent's letterbox handle? I got to follow my boy. Kent, do you have a letterbox account so you can check in on your movie watching?
I do not. I suppose I can make one.
You know what?
That'd be awesome, Ken. I would love to follow you on Letterboxd.
What is a letterbox?
It's just an app that you can use to check in on movies you've watched.
Oh, so it's like your tapped in app.
Basically, yeah. It's nice. It's how I keep track of the movies that I've seen. I have a tag that I attach to movies for the movie club called El Kent's Movie Club. So whenever we watch a movie, I tag it so then I can scroll through the list of movies that we have done.
Oh, so when I tried to come up with the master list,
that's how I found all my movies. I clicked into the tab and I was like, here we go.
You know what Kent's Letterboxd is? All of his published reviews.
That's true. It's called the Lincoln Journal Star.
The OG Letterboxd.
Well, there's that, but there's also a whole bunch of others that don't get full reviews done and stuff like that. I'll do that. I'll try to figure that out.
Hell yes. Let's go. Ken on Letterboxd.
All right.
It's a great app.
Like some of the movies here I haven't reviewed or seen, right? Before like this one, for example, I'd not seen it until whatever night. I think I watched it on Wednesday night. So
Awesome. Look at that. He's going to be on Letterboxd.
Nice.
So congratulations, Posty Posterson. You
Uh-huh.
just guilted him in.
All right, Nick. Well, what movie will Kent be checking into on Letterboxd
And
next
by the way,
week?
next week will be movie number 185.
Nice.
Oh, we are so close to 200.
I can't
Yeah,
wait
we
to
are-
pick Fellowship.
Now, depending on it depends. We might have some
Yeah, because
days
we got
off in here.
vacations. Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
now, movie 200 would hit at the end of July
Oh.
if we don't miss a week.
We should do a good summer blockbuster or something.
It will definitely not be any movies picked by Nick.
All right, Nick, what are we doing, though, for 185?
This is a movie that I think John will also really like, and one that I think Josh will really like. It's one where I first saw the trailer, I'm like, is that a movie for 2023? But the more I hear about it, the more I hear it is a very good movie. We're going back to Netflix from 2023, the R-rated No Hard Feelings with Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh, does she get naked, Nick?
You're going to have to find out.
Oh, I've been wanting to see this movie. Perfect.
it's good.
There we
And
go.
the question, you will be surprised. You will enjoy it.
All right.
Good.
No hard feelings.
No hard feelings on Netflix. That'll be next week in the movie club.
Ken, who do you like in women's and men's basketball to cut down the nets?
I'm a Yukon homer here.
Oh,
Yes! Yes!
Look at
Yes! Big East. Big East. Big East.
Unreal.
Like Big Least.
Unreal.
I picked Yukon in our pool or whatever you call it at work in the men's, and I'm a big Gino fan. He's one of the great guys, right? I mean, he's one of those. Every time you talk to him, you're like, this guy is a great guy, and I'm sure obviously a great coach. And so I've rooted for Yukon women forever, mostly because of Gino, who he's a piece of work when you talk to him. He'll just say about anything. Did you see what he talked about? Caitlin Clark yesterday was really funny.
Oh, what did he say?
Well, he chose his words very carefully, right? And basically said, I hope she doesn't come in and knock the crap out of us.
Oh, I'll have to go check this quote out.
Go
Interesting.
Hawks.
Go Hawks. You
Yeah.
can probably get bounced completely out of the state of Nebraska for that.
I'm
Both
from
of my
Iowa,
cohorts
Ken.
here. Josh is rooting for Iowa. Nick's rooting for Iowa. I mean, he just spent 5 minutes trashing Montana. Jeez, Nick.
They can fish in Iowa too, John. Montana's not the only they don't own fly fishing.
The only
Iowa's
thing they
not as
fish
pretty.
for in Iowa is Casey's Pizza.
Nice.
And Busch
Damn
Light.
right. Oh.